I'm making a card today for Scrappin' Jenny. She's hosting a challenge asking folks to make her sister a card. Her sister was recently diagnosed with cancer, and I got this stamp set inspired by stamping called Delicate Doilies, and I just think they're so beautiful. So I thought I would do a little embossing on vellum and see how it goes. So I'm taking my EK Tools powder so that the embossing powder hopefully won't stick to other parts of the vellum paper. This works just like an embossing buddy, but I like the control and the neatness of that powder tool. In my Versamark ink. I'm just inking up each of the different doilies and using my Fisker stamp press to stamp them out. I did, right before this project, re-ink that Versamark ink pad, and I think I might have not waited enough time to have the ink absorb fully into the pad, so I think some of the finer details in the doily stamps don't come out as clearly, but it's okay. And here I'm just spraying some Recollections white, snow white embossing powder, tapping off the excess. And if there's any stray powders that I wanted to get off, I had prepared a little paintbrush, a dry paintbrush to get it off, but I didn't need to do that. And I'm just pouring back in the excess powder back into the jar. And I'm taking my heat gun here. Here I'm actually heating the back side of the vellum because I didn't want it to warp too much in one direction. And I'm trying to keep my heat tool moving constantly so as not to scorch the vellum. And you can see in the light there that it is embossing. I love watching how embossing works. It's like magic. And I'm taking my tonic spring-loaded scissors and just fussy cutting around each of the vellum doilies. And I decided to stamp out some of the smaller doilies and the medium and large size doilies because my plan is to layer the smaller ones on top of the larger ones. And I sped up this portion, obviously, to 4 times normal speed so that you guys wouldn't be sitting here watching me fussy cut each doily. But I did want to point out that I'm actually pretty much holding my scissors straight once I remove the doily from the larger sheet and turning the vellum so that the cuts are made by turning the vellum piece as opposed to turning my scissors. And here are some spare parts brads that I decided to use to connect the smaller doilies to the larger ones. And you see that one's cut off to the side because that's going to go on the edge of my card. I'm using the Spellbinder's Tool-in-One tool to make the holes for the brads. And I took this off camera. The base card I actually ran through an embossing folder, so it has some swirls in it, and I'm taking my sponge sugar and a finger dauber and putting a faint pink coat of sponge sugar all along the edges and over the swirls. I'm using a hot glue gun to adhere the layered doily pieces. And I'm just trying to place them where I think they'll look nice. And it's very hard to get the full effect on video, but there's such a beautiful shimmer with this embossing on the vellum. And the hot glue doesn't show through if you're careful to put it only on the areas that have the embossing. I'm using a Stampin' Up! Sincere Salutations wood stamp that says thinking of you. It's an oldie but a goodie. And I'm just cutting it. I was trying to straighten out the little banner that I'm cutting out, because with wood stamps, as you know, it's very difficult to see if you're stamping straight or not. So I just go ahead and stamp it on the paper and then straighten it out by cutting around the sentiment once it's stamped. And I'm just cutting a little fishtail banner on one side. And I will be inking the edges again with spun sugar so that it matches the card base. And I'm going to position it in the little open area toward the top of the card. And I didn't like seeing the pink edged portion underneath the doily, so I'm just taking a pencil, lightly marking it, cutting that out so that you only see the banner as it's coming out from under that doily on the far upper left. And I'm gluing it down with some Aleene's tacky glue. I could have just used foam adhesive, but I thought I would use up a little bit of the fun foam that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. So the part that I had been working on, I wanted it to be a little bit elevated from the plain white card base. I'm using Aleene's original tacky glue and just spreading out the glue all over with my finger. It's a little bit messy, but it works. And I'm doing 2 layers because this fun foam from the Dollar Tree is so thin. But I think it's thinner still, the 2 layers combined, than the foam adhesive that I have. And I thought for mailing purposes, this thinner fun foam would work. To carry through the pink of the spun sugar, I added some pink plastic floral pieces with bling centers that I'd received from Laura Loves Lace. And that's the finished card. Here are some close-ups so you can get a look at the details of these layered doilies. If you enjoyed this process video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.